The following was captured by a truck driver who was passing through Arizona at the night of this recording. It was pretty late at the time, and the man driving wasn't aware of anything strange happening, up until this very moment. He believes that he saw a child standing on the right side of the road without any lights and seemingly no reason at all. In his mind, the person was all grey looking, basically nothing that would remind him of a human person, which is why this encounter was extremely eerie for him. And why would anybody stand there in the midst of night? Not to mention that this is pretty dangerous, of course. Are we maybe looking at a spirit encounter? The man believes that this is very plausible. Unfortunately, it was never confirmed who or what exactly he had captured here that night. This video was submitted by a man who was on his way home the following night. He was traveling in his truck and describes that he noticed how a dark semi-transparent object could be seen running across the street. At first he brushed it off, as it was already pretty late at the time, and he describes that he was extremely tired. But then he rewatched the footage shortly after. Some people state that it looks like a large dog to them, or perhaps just a coyote. Others even mentioned a deer. However, it is pretty strange how the animal appears to be pitch black, and based on the driver's reports, it was almost see-through, which begs the question, was it maybe something otherworldly entirely? Hard to say. The next video is a pretty creepy one. It was captured by Panic World Chief Bala, who drove through the dangerous streets of Ecatepec the following night. It was actually pretty early in the morning, and the man simply wanted to go home, when, out of nowhere, he notices some really strange weeping noises that seemed to be stemming from the streets. And this is where the recording starts.
Escuché, me parece que a la Llorona. Entonces me voy a ir en pura primera para ver si ustedes, si se vuelve a repetir el sonido, lo alcanzan a escuchar. Y luego anda la rata. Aparte de que está bien fea la calle. Todas las calles están así. ¡Uy! ¿Lo escucharon? No sé si alcanzaron a escuchar eso. Mierda, hasta se me puso la piel de gallina, Mierda, otra vez se escuchó. Creo que eso sí lo escucharon.
At this point, the man was documenting these events for several minutes, and he felt so uneasy that he decided to take a shortcut right next to some old train tracks. And this was when he thought to have seen a strange person that popped out of thin air and that was following his car. Weird.
Aquí está uno. ¡Madre! A la izquierda vieron un perro. ¡Oh, Dios!
The man pulled over after this eerie incident and was checking the back mirror for anybody approaching. But it seemed that this mysterious person, or whatever it was, had left, and the man made it home safely. Of course, this was a terrifying night for him, and he stated that he avoided driving these streets alone at night for quite some time after this. Who can blame him? The following video was captured by a group of friends who were on their way to a buddy's house one night. And it was when one of them noticed a strange object in the sky that almost looked like a person walking up there, which of course is pretty much impossible.
I'm not tripping, bro. I would say that's a helicopter, but that's definitely not a helicopter. I can see it clear with my eyes, but I can't see it on the freaking camera. It looks like a man walking, don't it? I see.
Ooh, what is that?
Bro, that looks like somebody walking.
It looks like someone walking. It looks like someone walking.
While it is of course impossible to say what exactly we are seeing here, undoubtedly it's quite the odd sight. Some thought that it might have been some kind of weird drone, or maybe an unknown flight object. Too bad that we don't really see much detail, I find. What is your opinion about this incident? Was it a walking ghost? Or just a weird object floating in the sky? The following is a capture that was sent to me by Stephanie, and she found it on the paranormal section of Reddit. It was captured during a nightly drive home by a father who was technically alone on the roads and just bonding with his teenage son. As they were passing through a stretch of wood, which was absolutely desolated at the time, the father decided to take a quick photo of his son and had to realize that it wasn't all so desolated as it seemed at first. There is a person peeking in through the window, which is bone-chilling if you think about the fact that the car was driving. No doubt that there was a person standing there, possibly an elderly female, maybe her spirit. But how is that possible? Double exposure is not an option, since it was captured with a phone. What do you suggest? Was it maybe her spirit? How creepy. The next video was sent by Tony, and he found it in the creepy section of Reddit, posted by user Hazelgree. He states that this is a dashcam recording that was caught in Alabama. The story goes that the two men shown in the clip were traveling through the state and conducting some business. Nobody was seen on the streets for almost an hour, but then, out of nowhere, the shape of a woman appears. It was said that the police arrived shortly after, and that there was nobody around besides the two men. No trace of a woman that was walking the streets. So is it just a hoax perhaps? Or was it a ghostly apparition? It says that after some research, it was found out that a girl lost her life in that area, who was wearing a prom dress, no shoes, and a black backpack. But perhaps it was just a lost lady who was walking the highway at night. She certainly is throwing a shadow and looks pretty human to me. And that in itself would be pretty scary as well in my opinion, and dangerous. But who knows? The following video is another really strange one and was captured by a young man who was riding his bike through a forest area the following night. The uploader stated that he was spending his weekend to hike and to explore this area, which is situated right next to a famous ghost mountain. Well, the rider was certainly spooked out that night. Now, of course, this clip falls into the category creepy stranger, as it appears that a weirdo in pretty terrifying makeup is looking at the bicycle rider here, and then disappearing behind a tree. Some people believe that we are seeing some form of forest spirit, or even a demon perhaps. Most likely, however, there was something else going on here, a stranger that was scaring passing tourists, or worse, maybe a friend that was staging this whole encounter. While there's no proof for any of these speculations, it still remains a creepy piece of footage. This video was captured by a couple who was on their way home the following night. Weirdly enough, they state that in this part of town, a lot of strange encounters had been documented over the past few years. And yes, even a lot of ghost sightings. On a related note, a lot of traffic accidents had occurred there over the last 20 to 30 years. The two told their viewers that they weren't exactly sure what they had seen at the time, but it must have been extremely bone-chilling. Look at that ghoulish face. The couple believes that this might have been one of the many traffic victims that had left our physical world over the years. Their viewers state that the face looks burnt and that it's an extremely sinister visage. Of course, we cannot say if this wasn't just a person with a scary mask on, or if there was something inexplicable going on. Pretty eerie. Now we want to take a look at the updated case of Mario Lara, who appears to have a grim demon dwelling in his party supply store. The activity seemed to be triggered by one of his oldest piñatas in the store, and at a certain point he was sure that that thing was possessed. He reached out to professionals and found a shaman that took the piñata off his hands, performed a ritual on it, and disposed of it in the middle of nowhere.
Donde asegura este muchacho que ya me va a entregar la piñata, pero que no me la puede dar en persona. Me dijo que me la había dejado acá en un punto. Me dijo que la iba a encontrar dentro de un carro. Entonces estamos dándole para allá, pues. Ahí está. Ahí está.
After finally retrieving the piñata, Mario makes it back to his car and stores it in the back. Seemingly a bit creeped out by the desolated area, all he was hoping for was to make it back home now, as fast as he could.
Estoy lejos del periférico, más o menos acá a la altura de Mazatlán.
Then, something chilling is frightening Mario so much that fight or flight sets in, and he tries to make it out of there. Unfortunately, this causes him to crash his car.
Está casi imposible de pasar.
Mario was so afraid, especially after this crash, that a friend had to pick him up that night. But now let's take a closer look. It would appear that maybe the demon itself was responsible for crashing Mario's car in fear. Is the demon sitting right behind him in the car? The following video was recorded by a driver who thinks to have captured something rather unnatural. When driving right behind an ambulance, the man thought that it was a prank at first, but wasn't so sure after watching the footage. All that we see at first is a strange illuminated object in the window of the back door, and then there seems to be another person sitting in the back of the ambulance. But as time goes by, the weird illuminated object seems to develop facial features, and we can make out a cloaked figure staring at the car that is recording. The man was certainly pretty creeped out, and is sure that this had to be a spirit encounter, or something even more sinister. This video was captured by a construction worker who was working on a remote site where he was helping to put a newly built living complex together. He then noticed the beautiful moon in the sky and thought that this was a nice opportunity to capture it on video, to show his family afterwards, and then the following unfolded.
Big the moon is, it's really big. Anyway, it's pretty cool. No. No, 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 no. Wait, there's nothing there.
To add to the eeriness, as stated, this location was pretty remote, where nobody was residing at the time. The houses that we see in the background are all just model homes and are not accessible to the public. So, was there somebody else at the site that was waiting for the operator's arrival to possibly scare the man? Or was it perhaps even a paranormal encounter that we simply can't explain? I certainly am baffled.